guess what's it called? Monday Night Lights. Yeah. Monday Night Lights. Monday Night Lights. What's been going down on the ice? Who are the leaders? Who are the failures? The Ducks, the Tigers, the Nordiques, the Whalers, the Seals, the Americans, the North Stars. Who's gonna stall? Who will go far and earn the keg? Who's gonna earn the keg? We'll find out in time. Give us a holler on the whoop line.
Here we go. Power rankings. Number 1, as I said, the motherfucking vaunted Maroons. So the preseason darlings got off to a slow start. Definitely have found their stride. They basically bitch slapped the number 1 Whalers. It was clinical. Started with the scoring machine Hale netting another goal. Then I believe Bin had one, Woodsy had one, Sugar had one. I will say, not to call anybody out, but the Sugar, we were sitting in the box, and the Sugar breakaway goal, it's like Weaver, who's had an awesome season, but he just was like skated backwards to the boards and just let Sugar go into the middle, and then Simmer's there, and he's just kind of skates backwards, and then so it was a 1v2, but I don't think Weaver or Simmer got a stick on Sugar, and that was that. It was 4-0, and the game was over. Claus has been playing great, quietly had a Vezina-type season. Woodsy was the happiest you'll ever see him. Simmer hit him with a little cross-check / push from behind, and then the ref called it, and Woodsy told him, "Good call, ref, good call. Yeah, you're learning. We're on the same page." I mean, then he scored a goal. I mean, he was just happy as can be. Ben, I just want to be clear, I've taken a few shots at Ben, not as a player, but just as a, it's smart. He's a KG veteran, so he's not going to gas himself out for, another team, before his game. So me being critical of Ben was strictly in his capacity as a sub for the North Stars. Happy-go-lucky, just happy to be out there, have a little fun, but certainly not going to overexert himself, which is smart, But anyways, when he plays for the Maroons, he plays great. He scored a nice goal. And so just everything is going great in the Maroons camp. They are the number 1 in the power rankings and quickly rising in the standings. Don't think they'll have enough time to catch the Whalers for the President's Trophy, but probably the favorites to get that second bye if they can make up some ground on the charging Nordiques. It looks like they are, tied for that second spot, but I would put my money on the Maroons. Moving on to number 2, got the Nordiques. They just keep winning. Another tight game, 1-1 in regulation. Pengrazi continues to play great. They don't have the firepower to, win these shootouts. So when they played the Whalers and the Whalers just tacked 3 on them quick, they're not going to have the firepower to keep up with them in a shootout. But if they play low-scoring games, and then, Slick Rick's probably good for 1 or 2. And then on this night, it was Antioch who's, that pulled the trigger for them to score 1-1 in regulation. Then it went to overtime, and Dave P., the sniper that he is, won it for him. Of course, not the real Dave P., but it was Woodsy subbing for Dave P. So the Nordiques have had, success. When Dave P's out, that's a good recipe for them. Usually, last week it did not work, but more times than not, whoever they bring in for Dave P. is more productive than Dave P., and it was the case with Woodsy being the game winner. So they don't get the full complement of 3 points, but 2 points, and they are pretty much a lock for the playoffs. I don't know if they've officially clinched yet, but lock for the playoffs and in the thick of things for that first round bye. So the Deeks, number 2. In the 3 spot, I have the Tigers. Tigers were on a bye this week, but a solid solid effort by the Tigers. Trent and Twinkle Toes lifted the North Stars to a much-needed victory. Trent had a goal and an assist. I saw Brandt subbing. I saw Simmer subbing. Gibb volunteered to ref. Skillman was willing to sub for Peso on short notice. So very good bye-week representation by the Tigers. I encourage all teams on the bye to still show up. Do not tell your wives that bye weeks exist. And if they do, that you're subbing for someone, just show up at the rink. Guaranteed good time. So good job by the Tigers. Checking in at number 4, have the Whalers. Obviously can't drop them too far, but it was just a rough night all the way around. They got down early. It's really been amazing as I've watched. There's been weeks where I'm like, okay, Joe Ellis is out. They're subbing in Ty. This is the week that these subs catch up to them. But it's never really happened. They just continue to win. But I do think that playing a high-flying team like the Maroons, it did catch up with them. I know, they had Larrabee is a nice piece of the puzzle for them. So he was out. He's been out forever. Facebook friends with his wife. I feel like he's been in Disney for 3 weeks. I don't know how he has any money left when you spend that much time at Disney at about $1,000 per day, maybe $2,000 per day. But they definitely missed Larrabee. They missed Joe Ellis. So it's just a bad night. Summed up, there was a point in the game, I don't know what was happening with Goose, but he literally tackled Judge in the corner. I'm glad nobody got hurt. The ref came over and gave a tackle signal, the official call. So I think that was just the end of a frustrating night for the Goose, and he had enough, so he just tackled Judge. Sweet Maki. There's been all sorts of chatter about him. He started the season out hot. He was making Drake some money. Now that bet seems less than a sure thing. He sits at 2 goals. He needs 4 goals to win the bet. 3 goals, he loses the bet. And I don't think he got close to a goal last night. He purchased a Nordiques jersey, which is just horrible. I mean, I would be furious if I was Sikorsky. Whose team are you on? But that's what Charles does. So rough night for the Whalers. Still a good team. But a little chink in the armor to steal a line from Jeremy Lin, if everyone remembers that from Linsanity. But number 4 for the Whalers. Number 5, have the Americans. Again, I didn't get to watch the Americans Nordiques, so I'm just going off of reports, but you got a 1-1 game. To me, this just signifies the Americans' lack of balanced scoring. I'm told that Proctor scored. Turtle told me that Myers scored. Panny told me that Proctor scored. I'm not exactly sure, but Myers and Proctor, I think, were playing it together. So I don't know if that was a little change-up. I don't know if they're trying to wake up something on the second line. But I checked the stats sheet, and we have Rutkowski and Eit, the 4th and 5th round picks, respectively, have combined for 5 points the entire season. That's not going to get it done. I expect the Americans to be active at the trade deadline. Not saying that they'll pull the trigger, but I definitely think that there's just something off. They're not getting any depth. It's Proctor, Turtle, Rubel coast to coast. Johnny G, obviously, in net is not the issue, but they need to shake something up to get a little bit more production. Like a lot of teams, I think there's not that many teams that have 2 lines going. Whalers are probably the only team. Like the Vaunted Maroons are great, but that second line, Crusoe, Hortcop, whoever they throw out there, they're not really ripping up the net, but they're at least holding their own. But Americans, I have them in at the 5 spot just because of their record, but I don't think this team's going to win the keg in its current form. It's probably going to require a trade. We'll see what happens. Number 6 spot, I went with the Seals. Not because of it was a quality loss, But more so, I really do think that they controlled the play. They came out early, first shift, scored a goal, bang, bang. I think it was Shawnee to Antioch. And thankfully, somehow the net was off and Ben waved off the goal. Ben does owe me. He's missed some horrible calls for the North Stars this year, admittedly. So maybe this was just his way of throwing the North Stars a bone. But instead of being 1-0, it was 0-0. And then the game remained 0-0, hard fought most of the time. Ciparoni scored a goal at the end of the second period to give the Seals a 1-0 lead. And it was 1-0 Seals at the end of the second period, and they had probably controlled the play for most of that time. Third period, got away from the Seals a little bit. Trent came in, had a beautiful pass over to Peso, who had scored with a nice finish. Same shift, Trent came in, shot one past Riley through a whoop screen, and it was 2-1, and it was kind of deflated. And then cherry on the top is the Seals did get a power play, and Drago, who had a wonderful game and who's been having a nice season, just had a horrific shift. I think he would admit that. So he had a little miscommunication with Whoop. Whoop was yelling, "I don't want the puck." Drago thought he wanted the puck. It was so then he made a pass. Chad stole it, banked it past Whoop, went in on a breakaway, made it 3-1, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. But I do think the Seals played well. Sip scored a goal. He's very quietly, very solid, producing. He's had a real nice season. And the Seals are gritty, but they just struggle to finish, which is why they find themselves where they are in the standings. But I do think they were probably the better team, so I kept them at number 6. Okay, checking in at number 7, we have the North Stars. So it was a huge win for the North Stars, desperately needed to keep them out of the basement. They are now 4 points ahead of the Seals, which amounts to like one game and then a little tiebreaker with an extra point. But that was the North Stars' first win since the last time we played the Seals. So North Stars were at risk of going an entire rotation without a win. And, again, it was a huge win, but the win was really created by the subs. Trent set up Peso's first goal. I was happy to see Peso score, much needed, but that was the only goal scored by a North Star. Trent scored our second goal. Chad scored our third goal, and then we had a really nice goaltender play from our sub goalie. So North Stars definitely are still figuring things out. We're hoping and praying that we will have a full team next week to take a look at what that will look like, and then depending on how we look with our actual team, North Stars will definitely, be considering some trades. Really enjoy the team, but we gotta. I don't know if in the current form it is a Stanley Keg winner, so we will see. But very much looking forward to playing a game with a full team. We get Spicy Hedis back at the new year, so hopefully the North Stars can make a little run here and not be just desperately hanging on for a playoff spot, but we shall see. That concludes this week's Power Rankings.